Hi, everybody. We're going to continue Chapter 3, Unexplained, and we are starting on page 24. Oh, no, excuse me. We are starting on page 25. Who knew how much trouble I was in? Suspended, probably. Expelled, not out of the question, especially since Schultz thought I'd done it on purpose. I had done it on purpose, the hitting the statue part anyway. While Dad read, I monitored the telltale vein in the top left corner of his forehead. It bulged a little, but not nearly as much as it had during the aftermath of the toupee liftoff. That had to be considered an encouraging sign. At last he handed me the letter. You have an explanation for this? I, where would I even start? My eyes fell on the page. To the parents of Donovan Curtis, the time has come to recognize your child's hard work and commitment to excellence as a student in the Handcastle Independent School District. This letter is to inform you that Donovan has been selected to attend the Academy for Scholastic Distinction, ASD, a special program geared towards gifted and talented students, tailored to their exceptional abilities and extraordinary potential for academic achievement. It said more, a lot more, about school transfer paperwork and registration forms, and which bus route would take me to my new placement at the academy. I barely saw any of it. My eyes couldn't get past words like excellence, distinction, gifted, and especially Donovan Curtis. Gifted? Me? I was the guy who skateboarded down water slides and shot a super soaker at an electric fence. When people heard my name, they thought, don't try this at home, not gifted. I wasn't being expelled, I was being promoted. Dad was grinning from ear to ear. I always knew that the real problem was they just weren't challenging you. Mom looked worried. Is everything okay? Donnie's gifted, Dad crowed. It's a mistake, Katie scoffed. The kid's about as gifted as a caterpillar. He brings home a bee and sets off 6 days of skywriting and fireworks. Much as I hated to agree with Katie, she had a point. My grades weren't terrible, but they were nothing to write home about. Come to think of it, I remembered the day all the nerds and brainiacs took the special aptitude test to see who got into the gifted program. I remembered it because nobody even asked me to give it a try, and I wasn't insulted because I wasn't gifted. My eyes skipped down to the bottom of the page. My heartiest congratulations once again. Your child is a credit to the Hardcastle Independent School District. Sincerely, Dr. Alonzo Schultz, Superintendent, HISD. Schultz. The only program Schultz would recommend me for was Alcatraz. Didn't he realize who I was? I mean, the guy made a point of getting my name so he'd know exactly who to burn at the stake. It came to me in a giddy flashback to the day of the incident, right after Schultz let me go. His secretary asked for the roster of new kids for the academy. The superintendent's response was the last thing I remembered before he bounced out of there. His exact words, "It's on my desk, Cynthia. You can't miss it." Had that big doofus scribbled my name on the gifted list by accident and everybody thought it was there because it was supposed to be? It seemed crazy, but it did explain the two inexplicable things going on in my life right now. Number one, why Schultz hadn't come to kill me yet. And number two, why I'd just been invited to go to the genius school. I laughed out loud. People thought I acted without thinking. This was 1,000 times worse than hitting a statue with a twig. It was a shoo-in for the bonehead moves of Hall of Fame. What's so funny, Dad asked. I almost spilled the beans. How many chances do you get to show the guy who runs the entire city school system that he's even a bigger dipstick than you are? Besides, it's not like my parents weren't going to find out eventually. Sooner or later, Schultz would realize his mistake or would he? The only district officials who saw me that day were Schultz and his secretary, and neither of them had ever met me before. They worked in the administration building, not Hardcastle Middle School. The paper my name was written on was surely gone now, crumpled up in a wastebasket or fed through a paper shredder. The one thing the superintendent knew about me was the school I went to, and that was the only way he could get to me. The gifted letter tingled in my hands. If I was at the academy, he wouldn't be able to find me. It was the realm of brainiacs and goody-goodies, the last place you look for a kid who put a bronze globe through a glass door. A tiny voice spoke up from the depths of my spleen. Forget it. Not in a million years. You won't last 10 minutes in a gifted program. There's never been anybody more ungifted than you. Mom was flushed with happiness. I always knew this day would come. It was only a matter of time before people realized how special you are. She sniffed back a tear of emotion. Beatrice was our good luck charm. Things are finally starting to turn around for this family. I can feel it. I feel it too, added Dad, putting his arm around her. Wait a minute, Beatrice? His eyes strayed to the hall where the languid Chow Chow was chewing up his newspaper, reducing it to an inky pulp. Up until that instant, I honestly don't think I was going to go through with it. But since Brad had shipped out and Katie had moved back in, the tension in our house had been simmering just below the boiling point. And now this extra stress with the stupid dog. How could I pile my own problems on top of that? Especially when Mom and Dad looked so proud, something that didn't happen every day when I was concerned. I thought of my namesake, James Donovan, on the floundering Titanic. What would he do? Sink or swim? Gifted, I said a little louder, as if trying it on for size. I guess I better go to school and clean out my locker. And we're going to stop it there.